following preview has been rated bad by the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast. Please check out the full episode when it releases on Sunday. This Nick Cage November, the Good, the Bad, and the Weird kick off the holiday season with, is that bees? Bees! Not the bees! They're in my eyes! Ah! I'm Nico.
And I'm Chris. We're doing the Wicker Man.
Sorry to hurt your eardrums. Not sorry, though. But yeah, we decided to wrap up the Wicker Man entire saga that we could think or find with the remake of the original Wicker Man.
It was time. It was time to really cover one of Nick Cage's worst films he's ever been in.
Okay, I'm gonna fight back. It's not the worst. It's the most, or it's one of the most iconic that's below mediocre.
It is below mediocre. It is disappointing if you were a fan of folk, because we just finished talking about, the one we just finished talking about was also bad.
Yeah.
But at least it had some effort to it.
Yeah.
Bad effort, but effort nonetheless. This one, it just feels like lazy writing.
Well, it's just not, it's not even just lazy writing, it's just not even cohesive writing. It's like, they try and add so many elements that just don't tie into the movie by the end of it. Like, it's just like, here's an inkling, here's an idea, here's a really dumb idea about the Incans, Egyptians, and other religions, but we're not going to explain the religion that we're supposed to be kind of based on.
Yeah, and then on top of all that, remember, we're the bees. Bees are the most important part of this movie, but we also don't follow any bee logic, which is disappointing as someone who knows a really, just too much, honestly, about bees.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just so little thought and care that I think was really even given into this movie. I'm sure there was attempted thought, because Labute, the director, does bring up some ideas that he was trying to do, but they just don't ever flush out, because it's just a small little, well, here's an idea, but none of them fit together or form the full puzzle.
That's true. And the other thing that's disappointing is the three main pieces of this movie that they did at least consistently try to bring through aren't fleshed through in character design or in town or world building. There's really no, there's some details for Easter egg viewers to try and dig through and find, but there's so few and they're so far between that honestly it just kind of feels like such a generic small town.
Yeah.
You kind of lose a lot of those elements of him going crazy, which we know Nick Cage can go crazy. We've seen it multiple times. Granted, it is Nick Cage styled, but it is good. He does have some thought process behind it. He has done some research into it. He has a style down for it. And there's nothing supporting him going crazy in this movie. He just kind of suddenly snaps on everybody. Yeah,
and even then, it just feels like I think part of the issue is, instead of trying to create something original or create something unique, or attempt to create something unique like the Wicker Tree did, it just tries to stick so heavily to the bones of the original that it doesn't even venture far enough away. And I think that's where it really gets caught up, is it's trying to be the original while not being the original at the same time, while also doing the exact same things in the original, just spread out.
And part of what we talked about is how, especially because the original Wicker Man, when this movie came out, it was known if you were a specific horror fan, but it was not an overall well-known movie. It wasn't in everybody's lexicon at this point. And yet we talk about how it's not a bad thing to necessarily remake some of these much older movies to bring them into new light, especially giving fans a jumping off point to go find those originals or find a genre that they might like. But this one sets itself so far back in the past that it doesn't even feel like it's a modernization of the film. It just kind of feels like a bad retelling.
I'd say for 2006, it felt like a more modernization.
Sure.
But for us who are rapidly approaching a decade after this movie comes out, technology's advanced so far that we have this hard time recognizing what era some items were from.
Well, and the other part where it shoots itself in the foot is this is a pretty much technology-free item.
Yeah.
Or island. So, and there's not a ton of effort put into costume or character design. It's not like Nick Cage's character has a very distinct, facial hair or hairstyle that's really
No.
popular during early 2000s. He's not wearing like particularly like styled clothes. It's pretty generic to the point where like it's pretty easy to kind of forget when this movie's even supposed to be.
Well, and on top of that, I think his character, because they deviate so hard from the clashing of religions, is it doesn't really make this movie 100% full core. It's full core adjacent, I'd say.
I would agree.
But it's all this, again, it's just riding on the bones of the movie that came before. That, oh, well, the original guy was religious, so we had to add a church here or there. But our main character is not going to be religious. We're just going to have him fake it at the end of all of this.
Yeah, that's the other part that's really confusing is the main character in the original that they spend so much time harping on, like, oh, well, we wanted to pay homage. We wanted to remind audiences of the first one. He had some very strong feelings and opinions on the ways of life at the cult. Nick Cage's character doesn't seem to care one way or the other as long as he finds this mysterious dead girl.
Yeah, no, it's just a bunch of dumb shit that doesn't add up.
It is. However, if you, like us, use the text memes all the time, this one has shown up. And so you will recognize at least 2, I think.
Yeah, two as far as I'm aware. So
definitely 2.
Yeah, but anywho, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird previews.
Check out the full episode.
Peace!